The skills needed to put on stunt shows comes from years of riding and trial bike competitions, which the Riche brothers have, as between them lies 16 national titles.
Kinako ya Game On, and as we do each and every week, we bring you minority sports in and around the country. I'm your host with the most, Uxoli Zondo. July is really such an important month, known as Mandela Month, where we celebrate and really commemorate the legacy that Tutata has left, not only in the country, but worldwide. And whilst we won't be able to fill the big shoes that he's left behind, we can at least try and emulate his footsteps. Well, on today's show, we cast our eyes on trial biking. A lot of people consider it just as stunt riding, but that is not true. It is known to have real competitions and even a World Series. And that is why on the show today, we bring you the brothers that have made quite an impact in the sport, the Riche brothers. I'll be speaking to both Brent and Bruce. And actually, I want to see a bit of their stunts. How are you doing?
I'm very good, and yourself?
You know what? There were moments in this show where I was just cringing.
Is it?
And I thought, is this the last time I'm going to see Brent?
Well, then we know we're doing something right. You've got to push it to the limit.
Yo, my goodness. I actually wanted to talk about the shows themselves,
yeah,
and just the preparations that go through in bringing something like this together.
Yeah, it looks like there's not a lot of preparations, but you know, this is our second rig as well, so we've at least had another rig prior to this that we can sort of hone our skills, decide what the people like as well, because often you get something that's so difficult to do and the people don't really like it, and you pop one wheelie and they like it more.
Yeah.
So yeah, we really had to spend a lot of time on deciding what we want as well, and setup as well is also very, very different as well. So yeah, we think with this one we've nailed everything right, and judging by some of the reactions we're getting, we're doing something right.
And I hear that motorsport is perhaps the only sport where the vehicle weighs less than the actual rider. So now I want to know, what are the kgs like here and on you?
Well, this bike is a 300cc two-stroke. It's a factory beater made in Italy. So it's got a lot of magnesium, a lot of aluminium, it's a lot of titanium.
To make it light.
Yes, it's 63 kilograms. It's very light, very powerful.
What have been the highlights in terms of, you know, the world and touring the world? Which of the countries kind of stood out for you the most?
Well, competition-wise, Europe is very strong. The guys there, I mean, they're competing. They have a race every single night in England. So anytime you want, you can go and do a race. It's unheard of, you know. So they're very good there because they start so young. They're very good in Spain and England. We competed there as well when we were growing up, and it was very good for us. But our main highlight was America. So we were fortunate to leave there, and we got a good sponsor there, and we were there for 3 or 4 years. And yeah, we got one of these massive RVs in America. They sponsored us, and we got there and we just traveled the whole of the States. Yeah, if you really work hard at sports, it can take you anywhere in the world. It's the most amazing thing.
You've now, for 13 times, have been at the top.
That's right.
What is the recipe?
I think dedication. I think I loved it. I didn't take it as work, you know. We threw everything in it as well, yeah. But I was focused. I know where I wanted to get to. Hard work. You know, I think that's pretty much it.
That's just it. Yeah. All right, so if someone wants you to come through, maybe if it's even in the townships or wherever, how do they then get a hold of you guys to make sure that you can actually come through to their spaces?
Go onto our Facebook page, info@lericheracing.com. Otherwise, we're on Instagram and Facebook, Riche Racing. You know, go hook us up, drop us a mail and say, we've got an event here, you know, what's happening?
Yeah.
And our calendar is pretty full, but I mean, we're keen for anything.
Brent, now let's talk about some of the stunts that we witnessed here. Some of the moments where we were all like, oh Lord, please. What were you actually doing, and what were the techniques that were involved in each of those stunts?
Okay, we've got a variety of stunts here. We've got a very cool ladder on the front of the vehicle, which we do. These bikes have 5 gears, so we ride in the first 3 gears. So a lot of the biggest obstacles, like this aluminium ramp, that front ladder ramp, and then this large back ramp, we'll take in 3rd gear, and we'll actually store a lot of energy in the bike. Come up slowly onto it, and if you look closely, we kick down hard, rev it, and we try and jump, use the body weight to get to the top. And to do that, there's different techniques you use. The one technique on the bigger ones is what we actually call a splatter technique. It's a bit of an odd name and not something you want to think of. Yes. But yeah, we've got a 3.5 meter high splatter onto the back of our truck. And then we've got some undercut stuff coming down here as well. And one of the most difficult things we're doing on the show, some guys might not pick it up, is from the top of the truck, we actually ride off and then land down on this silver aluminium ramp. Now you must remember, Bruce on top can't even see where the ramp is. So all he sees is the end of the truck, 3.5 meters high, and you're just sort of riding off. So you really got to know what you're doing over there. So we've got it all.
Okay, no, fantastic. Thank you so much, Brent. Really amazing. But now you're going to close it off with a stunt, right?
We have to. It's part of the game.
Okay. I'm done. Oh my God. That was so scary. Thank you so much.
Thanks for volunteering.
Oh my goodness, I'll never forget that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That really was scary. I don't even have adjectives to use. I cannot even believe that Bruce has to go through all of this all of the time and still wear a huge smile on his face. I think that's why I'm more interested to find out more about him. Where does he come from? How did he get into the sport? Why is he so passionate about it? Let's meet up with Bruce.
Bruce le Riche ebile mampudi wa mona Afrika Borwa ka makgetlo a mararo, and when he was at the height of his professional trial bike career was ranked as high as number 2 in the USA. Xoli o ne a memiwa lelapeng la ba ha le Riche to understand what makes the one half of the duo tick.
I promised you before that we'd be getting up close and personal with Bruce, and which better place than right here at the place that he calls home. Bruce, welcome to Game On. And thank you for allowing us into this beautiful space. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Hey, no worries, thanks for coming.
All right, so we want to know about this fantastic sports star that is known as a one-hip wonder. Where does that nickname even come from?
Well, a couple of years ago I actually had an accident off of a ladder, and that resulted in a hip replacement. So now I've got one hip and one artificial hip. And in the motorcycle industry, if you're good at one lap, you become a one-lap wonder. So why not become the one-hip wonder?
Okay, so that accident then clearly did not stop you from actually pursuing the sport as you've done.
Well, the doctors did say it's preferably not to do it, but you know, when it's a passion, it's a passion. So you always push the boundaries.
Okay, well, I'm glad you actually went via that route. But I want to know about Bruce as a little boy. What kind of a kid were you? What does the upbringing look like? Were you raised by your parents? What's the story behind Bruce?
Yeah, it was a good family life, I would think, and have 3 sisters, 1 brother. Obviously, you've interviewed him before, so yeah, him and I were best friends. Or still are, and so him and I did everything together, and father got us into the sport. I'm sure Brent described that, and did other sports like cricket, soccer and all those, and you know, we just tended to enjoy the 2-wheel side more, so we ended up riding bicycles. And then my dad rode this sport when he was young instead of the enduro or street biking, so it's nice and slow. We've been doing it for about 23 years, no injuries from the sport. But yeah, my brother and myself used to ride our bicycles in the backyard till 10 o'clock, had drums, crates, everything. And eventually the neighbors would complain and tell us we'd have to keep the noise down to a certain time. So yeah, it was interesting, it was fun.
So then you decide now you are actually going to be a family man and go into the next phase of your life. Tell me a bit more about that phase and how it has actually impacted your play.
Well, you know what, you have to move forward in life, and I suppose if you want kids also, and then just happen to find the right woman, and it progressed on from there, and a kid later, and hoping to have another one pretty soon. But the same thing with my wife, as we met at a competition, so which also made it a lot easier.
Interesting story, we actually met during one of his trials events. Yeah, I used to come and watch the trials events, and then obviously I knew the Riche, well, I didn't know them, but I knew of the Riche brothers, and I watched, and then a couple of years we didn't see each other, and then a while later they were doing one of their shows, and I rocked up, and Bruce was single and I was single.
Okay, so she's never like a little nervous when she's sitting on the stands and watching you, because this is also what she loves.
No, definitely, she does get nervous. She always tells us we must play safe, and you know, it's the only way I know how. I always tell her, and she always goes, no, she knows exactly how I am, so yeah, it's interesting.
To be honest, I do still get a little bit scared, especially when they do the huge jumps and they do the, you know, if they have to scale this massive rock that looks like a mountain, I kind of just want to close my eyes. But no, I love watching them. I enjoy seeing him do what he loves.
So Bruce is clearly different from the sports person to the husband, and when compared to being a father. How has being a father changed you?
Changes you in a lot of ways, really. Gives you more patience first off, but I think it's just so nice to see how the little stuff entertains people again, that's what I really enjoy about fatherhood. So you can take anything you want, and the little guy, which is my guy, you know, just the excitement in his eyes, it rejuvenates you, which is nice.
He's such a brilliant father.
And being an uncle?
Being an uncle is good, and it's nice because I also want Keegan to have such a good relationship as what I had with Brent.
3 times, you know, you've been the champ, you know, so are you looking to also increase that tally?
I would love to. It doesn't help when I compete against Brent, who's, you know, is looking forward to win his 13th championship. So I'm hoping to get another 1 or 2 in.
And let's just pretend that Brent isn't here. What are some of the things that you would say you really appreciate about him?
In intense situations, I've never really seen him get upset, get cross or whatever. So I'm also got red hair as a kid, so I was the complete opposite as a kid.
He's a ginger, which he likes to call himself, so he gets very fired up, especially when he was young. I think I had to calm him down a little bit, so you know, chill out a little bit. Let's rather take our frustrations out and other things.
So that taught me a lot, and also from the trial side, that he puts that same mentality in, whereas, you know, I always wanted to be the best, I wanted to have the most championships, but if you can't put it together in the right times, then you're not going to be the best, that's what he does. So I aspire to be in that one day.
I just want to also get a feel of this place that you call a home, because you said your neighbors at times would actually ask you to keep it down a little. So maybe if we can just have a look at the lushness, the beauty of this place.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
We'll give you a ride round.
Fabulous, yes. Let's do it. Thank you so much. High five. You really have been fantastic. And of course to Brent as well. They are showing us that even as brothers, you can be competitive and make quite a huge impact in whatever sporting code that you are going to. Well, from one balance sport to the other, after the break, we go all the way to Cape Town, where we bring you surfing. So do stay tuned. Welcome back. You are still tuned in to Game On, where we showcase those amazing sports that don't get enough airtime on television. Right on this show, they've got a home. We're still celebrating Mandela Month, and what an inspirational story Utata was. And that's why it's very fitting for us to bring you another inspirational story, this time from the mother city. Enjoy.
The beachside suburb of Muizenberg in the Western Cape is a surfers paradise with an important community centering themselves on Surfers Corner. Ke setjhabeng sena se Paul Samson Chudley analeng motlotlo to say is his own.
I just want to tell everybody out there, like, it's not impossible to follow your dream. Everything's possible, even though no matter where you come from, just put in the hard work. along the side, somebody is gonna come and be like, okay, I can see you working hard.
No one could guess the kind of change that the waves would bring for Paul.
If you have a dream, follow it. Nobody's gonna stop you. And just, even though there's, like, you can be living on the streets, coming from my point of view, I lived on the streets, but I just, like, as soon as I saw the water, actually right now, I feel like going surfing because I'm just, like, so connected to the ocean.
A couple of years ago, the whole course of his life would be changed when he was adopted by a surfing family.
Life, for me, in Luatu, it's like a dream because for my kind of angle, I was not used to living in a home because I used to live in the streets. But then I found Fiona and Dave, and they just took me into their home, and now I'm living with them.
We met Paul many years ago as a young 6-7-year-old, and he was in the environment for many years, surfing and having fun, and we saw him in fits and starts. Then he started spending more and more time at the surf school, using us as a base to keep his equipment. And then he had a little bit of a problem at his foster home that he was at, and our children actually came to me and said, David, Fiona, my wife, you have to look after Paul now. You have to do something for him. So he was about to be sent to an orphanage inland, and we said, okay, we will look after him for 2-3 weeks while they find a foster home for him. We then had him for 2-3 weeks, which extended to 4-5 weeks, extended to what is now 5 years.
Paul not only gained a family through the sport, but is a top performer in the waves.
Surfing has just pushed my life in the one way, good direction as I want right now. It's got me a beautiful family. I've got a niece called Eleanor Rose. I've got a sister Bronwyn. I've got a sister Taryn. I've got a mom and a dad, Dave and Fiona. I've got 2 dogs that love me very much. I've got my own room. If I didn't start surfing, I wouldn't have had that things. I wouldn't have the privilege to stay with Dave and Fiona. I wouldn't have the privilege to go surfing. I have my own surfboard. I'm sponsored by Signature right now, Signature, Gull, and mostly Surf Shack. So Surf Shack provides everything for me, and surfing has changed my life. I've got so much more things to say about surfing. It's just changed my life dramatically.
He's a good kid that has an incredible personality about him and is able to interact and stay very positive in very trying times.
Paul has represented the Western Province a number of times. He has also excelled. At last year's National Longboard Championships, he won bronze in an age category above his own.
Welcome back. You are still tuned in to Game On, where we are continuing to showcase minority sports and, of course, celebrate Mandela Month as it is the month of July. If you have been following the legacy of Tata quite closely, you will know that boxing was an absolute favorite sport of his. Actually, in one of his quotes, he says the sport brought about self-respect, dignity, and, of course, it helped with his fitness. And that is why we find ourselves in Central Western Jabavu Boxing Gym, where we will be bringing you more about the sport. And of course, speaking to a former South African professional boxer, Ulihlohonolo Ledwaba. From 1999 till 2001, he held the IBF Junior Featherweight Championship. And that's why he's the man to give us all of the information. Let's go in.
Lihlohonolo Hands of Stone Ledwaba defended his world title 5 times before losing the IBF Super Bantamweight belt to Manny Pacquiao. At the age of 45, Hloni o netefatsa hore batho ba bangata can follow in his footsteps.
I'm even so scared to disturb. The champ. It is really so good to see you. I think a lot of the times we are very proud when we see former professionals give back to the community, and just the fact that you're always here making sure that you're imparting all of your knowledge is really so commendable. Congratulations, really, really, really. And the first thing I knew about today is that I really wanted to uncover the story of Hands of Stone. What an amazing nickname. Where does it come from?
The name Kidekali Fiwa ki Ntate Mombare ki Ntate Agent Twal. Ne? That old man used to live go Central and ki Ntate Longuru Khudisitse. Onar supporter Holuka boxing. He was a brother to one of the former boxers by Longoro by Leba representer of Barcelona, Fana Twal. So he's the one who am Palibito Hands of Stone.
Well, I really do think it's a fantastic nickname, and I'm glad that it has stuck with you. A lot of people will not be aware of this, but this place you've called home for almost your entire life, because even from the age of 7, you were here practicing your boxing. Tell us about just how this boxing gym came about and how you started in the early stages of your life.
Boxing. And so, I had the boxing tournament from the age of 7.
Okay, so did you always know that after you retire or you leave professional boxing, you would come back here and actually give back to the youth?
What happened is that huli bi maul how fitla na ka hore ke tlamele hore ke role marapo hore ke tlohele ho trainer as a boxer, to practice as a boxer. But then just because of the love I had for sports ke ile ka feel hore no ha ke lo tswa fela jwalo. I am attached to this sport, and of which I have to give back to the community. The community by long people by long never sa robale ha ke lwana. By long they gave me support. And they've attended most of my tournaments. And then I felt, no, it's about time or no, Linda, I must give back to the community. And as much as it's like that, things just went smooth up until where I am on that journey.
So in terms of joining this boxing gym, how can people do that, and what sort of athletes are you looking for?
Anybody on only interest can come, understand? I mean, if we may look at in 10 of, I'm just making an example, in 10 of the boxers by Dongra, you'd find maybe one of them which will let me, understand? So automatically, I always tell myself, well, the little that I do, as long as fella, maybe if I can get 1 or 2 away from all these wrong things which are being done outside there, I would say maybe I've reached my goal.
Referred to as the sweet science, boxing is a combat sport which has been around since modern civilization.
I train amateurs and I train also professional at one.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ledwaba, for your time, but most importantly, just for your contribution and making sure that boxing is still alive as a sport. We will be back again next week, Saturday, right here on SABC2 at 9:30 in the morning. As always, I'm your host with the most, Zondo. Take care and God bless.